Ladies and gentlemen, we are back.
We have
Once
returned.
Oh, welcome to Reality Brief. What is it? Hour what?
Think we're going on hour 4?
Hour 4. Hour 4 of the 12-hour megasode. Tune in a couple more hours and we'll be like, blah, blah, blah. So Mick, we're joined by Mick Schrier. How do you say that?
Schrier. Yeah.
Schrier. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
So
Thanks for having me.
You definitely, yeah, not a problem. Absolutely, man. You definitely have a different type of take on this whole thing than most of the people that come on our show. So it's pretty interesting, and I'm glad to have you on to talk about that. So you tell me about how you discovered you were even part of any of this stuff.
Yeah, totally. So first of all, basically I was inspired by Kevin Trimmel and his first 2 interviews that he ever did. And those were with Denny Hunt on his YouTube channel, Why Is This True? So the first interview Kevin did was just kind of a testimonial. He gave some partial memories that he had. And then the second interview that Kevin did was actually a higher self channeling. So this guy, Carl Mollison, who's a healer and a channeler, was involved. And what happened was Carl went into a meditative trance. He connected with Kevin's higher self, or his soul, if you will. And then at that point, Kevin was able to ask direct questions and get direct answers right back from his higher self. And so he was able to get some insight on some of those stories that he had told in his first interview. And I just thought it was completely profound and mind-blowing that you could talk to your own higher self and you could get, information that you have no way of accessing otherwise. So it was really just those 2 interviews that inspired me, and then from that point I contacted Carl myself and set up my own higher self channel, and I've done 3 so far. And
tell me a little bit about Carl. Our normal listener base may or may not be familiar with him. So what does he do? How long has he been around? Has he been doing it for a while? Did he just pop up out of nowhere? Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so he's been learning different healing modalities for decades now. He actually started off more of a scientist. He was working in the medical field for pharmaceutical companies. And so he has that kind of analytical mindset to begin with. And as he, learned more and more and really wanted to heal people rather than just treat the symptoms, he started discovering different types of healing modalities. One of them is called holographic memory resolution, and then during his
we lost you for a second there, man.
Oh, am I back?
Yep.
Okay, so basically it was Carl's investigation into the realm of hypnotism that kind of got this whole channeling thing started for him. Mm-hmm. So first he learned how to hypnotize and be hypnotized, and then from there it went on to going into deeper states of consciousness to where he could actually channel. And it started off with archangels. So at first he was talking to archangels, and then I believe he figured out that he could channel people's higher selves or light beings, people that have successfully passed into the light. And then eventually he discovered that he could actually channel creator, or the creator of all that is, whatever term you want to use for that, God, Allah, source. So yeah, it's been a long process for him, and he's gotten to the point where he can.
In other words, he's got street cred. Yeah, he didn't just come out of nowhere like, "Hey, I can do this."
Right.
All right. So tell me about.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say first and foremost, he's a healer. So channeling isn't his main business, but I think his healing abilities and the testimonials and all the stories that come from his healing work kind of legitimizes it as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would imagine that being able to contact your higher self and ask yourself questions would be part of a healing process.
Definitely, and it's been a huge process for me. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me about the experience. Like, how did that go? How did that all work out?
Yeah. So, I mean, like you mentioned before, like I had no clue I was part of anything covert to begin with. I was just very interested in all of the secret space program information and had a bit of a hunch that something may have happened to me. So I just wanted to get to the bottom of it. So I was planning, and I did ask if I had been part of the secret space program in this lifetime, but that wasn't my first question that I asked. And one of the first questions that I asked my higher self was, can you please tell me about my past life, the one previous to this one? And so I didn't know what to expect from that, but what I was told by my higher self is that in my past life, I served in a program alongside extraterrestrials. It was very funny. So that kind of caught me back, like, wow, okay, so I later found out that, yes, I've been part of it in this lifetime, but it's not only this lifetime, but my previous lifetime as well, so it's a multiple lifetime thing for me. So
right. That is something that you do hear every so often from people who say that they had some type of service in a secret space program or mercenary army program. Is that what you guys are calling it?
Right. That's what we've gotten from creators, a more accurate term.
Okay. So now, how did this help you heal? I mean, describe to me the healing process of this. Like, were you traumatized already, or did you become traumatized when you got this information? Like, what exactly were you healing?
Right. No, I mean, I feel like I'm lucky in that sense that I don't have PTSD from these experiences. But as far as the healing process goes, I mean, I think really, in order to heal anything, you need to know that it's there to heal in the first place. Right. So just finding out that I've been part of this, I mean, gives me the knowledge to know that I have, this backlog of karma to heal. And, one of the questions I asked my higher self was, what is my life purpose? And am I on track, And straight up, my life purpose is to heal, and that's why I'm here. And so just hearing that from my higher self kind of, gave me a little kick in the pants a little bit, knowing that this is what my mission is here on Earth, and that I'm actually in a turning point lifetime, I was told. So my lifetimes have been heading in one direction, and now I'm finally ready to head in a more positive direction. So, just the fact that I know that I've been part of all these dark things, and all these dark things have been done to me, it just opens up the door for healing to be done that I didn't even know needed to be done in the first place.
So, and then, well, let me ask you this real quick. Outside of contacting Carl and getting his services, how would you advise someone heal from something like this? I mean, because obviously that, even if you did that, that's not the end of it. I mean, that might help you get on the path or something, but I wouldn't figure that, one session with this guy and check me out, I'm awesome. You know what I mean? So right. What else would you advise someone to do?
Well, me personally, luckily Carl has been able to come up with this light worker healing protocol, is what he calls it. So the channeling sessions aren't the healing part of it. That's the informational part of it. But yeah, what I have to recommend is called the Lightworker Healing Protocol, and I attended Carl's class that he gave in Petaluma in February, and I learned this protocol. I've read the manual, and I've been doing it on a daily basis ever since. And what the Lightworker Healing Protocol is all it really is a high-level prayer request. It's very, very specific. It's about half an hour long of very specific prayer requests. And these prayer requests, I mean, as far as we know, are covering all the bounds of what is involved in being an abductee of the Mercenary Army program, an MK Ultra survivor, a targeted individual, or just anybody in general. I mean, that has healing to do, which is everybody. So that's my recommendation. And if anyone's interested, go to get-wisdom.com to find more information about this.
So that's get that wisdom. Get that. Hour 4. Get-wisdom.com, right?
Yes.
Okay, just to make sure we got that out clear. So, you know, this being a prayer, it seems like, you know, when you pray to an entity. So what would you say what kind of entity is this prayer to?
Right, and I wouldn't use the term entity personally, but you have to have, part of this is you have to have belief in a higher power. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this doesn't necessarily work if you're completely atheist. You have to believe that the divine realm has the ability to help us when we ask. So that's part of the equation here, is belief quotient.
So you would say you are praying to a creator God?
I would call it, yes, source creator, the creator of me, of you, of everything that is. Mm-hmm. So not a being, not a physical being, not a deity, not a male or a female, but a higher source that has created everything.
So something demiurge level or higher.
Much higher. Like the highest it can be.
The highest it can go. So you would be talking about source itself.
Yes, you can call it God, you can call it Allah, you can call it creator, whatever you want to call it, but you have to believe that there is a higher power that has the ability to help.
So tell me a little bit about, you know, what information you gleaned from these channeling sessions about, you know, what type of things that you were doing.
Okay, I asked a lot of questions, so I got a lot of information, and we'll try to hit a few bullet points here, but I can't cover it all. It's impossible.
Absolutely. I mean, we got a limited amount of time today, so. Oops.
Yeah. So, one of the interesting things that I found out was, I mean, first of all, that I've been part of 2 20 and backs in this lifetime alone. So I've served 40 years in space, at least in this lifetime. I've tried to get a better understanding of what my role in the programs was. My higher self doesn't want to divulge too much information because it could cause issues. But what I have been able to glean is that I was part of military intelligence. So I didn't have my hand on the trigger, so to speak, but I was doing reconnaissance and information gathering through advanced technology that they have.
We discussed earlier about the programs. What did your higher self tell you through Carl about the space program factions that we've all come to know and love, like Solar Warden and Dark Fleet and the international corporate conglomerate and all that type of stuff?
Right. Well, when I asked that question specifically, like which program have I been part of or which ICC companies have I worked for, my higher self told me that this is basically a huge cover story that's being implanted in everyone who serves. And this is how they get you to sign on to begin with, is by duping you into thinking that you're doing something great for humanity and you're going to save the world you know. So basically, my higher self told me that a lot of those memories are screen memories. They're implanted to put a happy face on what's going on in these programs.
Right.
And,
So, what did you glean about what was actually going on then through this channeling session?
it's very, very dark. There's nothing good that goes on within these programs. You know, before I did these channeling sessions, I knew there was dark things that occurred in these programs, but I couldn't help but still like think it was cool and like I wanted to go into space and meet ETs and all this stuff. But now that I've learned what I have, you know, my view is completely flipped, and I've luckily broken free from the program, but I don't want anything to do with it ever again, and I want to stay completely detached.
Right. So, what was it that you learned?
Just that, I mean, it's just different puzzle pieces that I've put together myself. Just the fact that they abduct you without your consent, the fact that they wipe your memories completely, or that's the goal, you know. So if it has to be hidden, it can't be good. And if it was something good, you know, I would be considered a veteran right now, and I would have reparations, and you know,
Right.
it wouldn't have to be so good. And the whole thing is based off of mind control. So, I mean, that doesn't sound fun.
No, it's not. It's not. And I know that you had kind of shied away from trying to regain those memories, and I can completely understand why. I mean, that's a whole lot of trauma. Like, I don't know why you would really want to invite that into your life. You know, like if you're doing okay now, I guess I don't know. Wouldn't that be ultimately part of the
ugly it may be?
Wouldn't that be ultimately part of the healing process though? Because you can't really get over the trauma until you face it. Correct?
Yeah, and I think I am healing kind of behind the scenes as far as the Lightworker healing protocol goes. And when my higher self thinks it's highest and best for me to regain those memories, you know, I have confidence that it will happen.
Right.
And, but another thing that's possible is a different type of healing that Carl does, and it's called holographic memory resolution. And the way he does it is it's a different sort of channeling process, and he channels your deep subconscious, so not your higher self, but a different part of your consciousness, which is the deep, you know, uncovered part. So he's able to channel your deep subconscious and then go back and reframe those traumatic experiences and basically go back in time and change it so that it never happened, or it happened in a different way. So he's able to do this and access memories from past lives or suppressed memories, you know, through his channeling abilities. So it is possible to heal memories that you don't have access to.
Interesting. And so I mean, I assume that it's a service that he charges for. Am I incorrect in assuming that?
Yeah, I mean, he has to make a living, and
yeah, I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. I just, in case someone out there is listening to this and they're thinking about doing it, I just want them to know that they will have to pay the man, obviously, so they're not like jumping over there and expecting to get this done for free. And I probably would be right in assuming that the protocol information is available freely.
Not necessarily, because there's a whole class, you know, there's a lot of learning that goes involved into it, and then like, you know, 150-page manual that is involved. So it's like any other healing modality that you have to learn. There's a charge, but it's definitely, you know,
right, beyond
what it's worth.
Okay, Dan, you got something?
Well, yeah, I was wondering, do you personally have any sort of spiritual background, like any spiritual tradition or path that you followed up until when you started making these breakthroughs?
No. I've never. I mean, I've been raised religious, but I was never. I never bought into it. Ever since I was a very young kid, I always knew something was up. So, you know, once I got to my teens, I started researching all sorts of religions and philosophies, and came to the conclusion pretty early on that there is a core truth to all of it, and that not one of them is correct. So I kind of knew there was some sort of higher power, but I didn't want to subscribe to anything specific.
Right,
so,
anything in particular, right?
Have you ever considered yourself a student or practitioner of any sort of magic, for instance? And where is there a dividing line between prayer and magic?
I don't think so. I would call this white magic. That's really what it is. But it's not me. I'm not the one doing the magic. It's me requesting it from the divine realm. So there's invocations within magic traditions. So I'm invoking the divine realm, the higher self of whoever I'm healing, source creator, archangels, to come in and to do the healing. So
what would you define as an archangel? How would you define that term? You personally, look, I'm not looking for absolute anything here. Just how do you personally define the term archangel?
I mean, I guess the way I would put it is
like in the biblical sense,
one of God,
like Gabriel, or is this like something different?
Yeah, no, the one archangel that we call upon in the Lightworker healing protocol is Archangel Azrael.
Azrael.
Yes.
Okay, so it is in like the biblical sense of an archangel, correct?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure because people got different names for different things, man. I just want to make sure what we're talking about. All right, so okay, where were we? Whoa, I think I'm getting picked up in your microphone.
That could be possible.
So, anything else that comes to mind as like interesting bits that you may have gleaned from this channeling?
Yeah, definitely. Once I found out I was part of this, I started asking questions about stuff that I had heard of in these programs, like cloning, for instance. I wanted to know, like, have I been cloned? So the answer was yes, and I have about 24 clones of myself out there.
So that means you got at least 24 alters.
Right. Yes, and we have found out recently that the idea of the splitting of the consciousness into alters is accurate. So that is happening. So yeah, I have at least 24 alters, 24 clones, and it's just bizarre. Think about being in a room with 24 of yourselves.
That'd be pretty crazy. I'd probably beat the shit out of myself 24 times.
I'd just give myself a headache arguing.
Yeah. What are you man? One of Dan's alternate timeline selves is a anarcho-communist.
Yeah, that one's getting thrown out of an airlock.
Yeah. So, dang man, I don't know what I did with my notes from when we had a discussion earlier. I'm trying to remember. So, I know that you had said that the screen memories, as far as the names of these programs and what's actually going on, are screen memories. So, what do you have? Did they give you any kind of like specifics on what type of missions you were involved in, or the type of things that you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, I asked about like the last time when I did a channeling session. I was like, what happened the last time I was abducted? And I was told that it was a mission to an off-world colony, and there was some sort of altercation that went on. So I didn't get the dark details, but apparently we were trying to coerce uh, some trainees. We were trying to get them on board, but they weren't having it, I guess.
Okay, so it was people that were being trained to be in the whatever program it was you were in?
Yeah, so basically what I was told is that the entire mercenary army program is military in its, concern. There's nothing going on with interchange of goods and stuff like that. It's strictly about control and conquering and annihilation.
Okay. That makes sense. So who did they tell you, like, what species outside of humans are involved in all this? I mean, because if a lot of this stuff people are remembering are screen memories, then now we have to try and figure out, well, what's is actually at play here.
Right. Okay. So another thing I asked about was, I was curious if I was in a breeding program of some sort. So when I asked that, the answer was yes, but it wasn't what I was thinking. I don't have, like, they're not my children. What the breeding program was about was extracting my DNA to create grays, which are artificial intelligence with an organic component to it. So they're using my organics to create more grays.
Well, when you say they, I mean, who are you referring to?
Okay, right. Let me get to that. So, I mean, the fact that grays were mentioned, I was able to ask a question. I said, higher self, you've mentioned the grays. Like, what other extraterrestrials have I interacted with? And I was told that I didn't interact with the Anunnaki, but they were the ones at the top. So the Anunnaki were the ones who are really in control of all of this, but they tend to stay behind the scenes and not get physically involved. And so below them, the ones that really run things are the reptilians and the Arcturians, which most people will refer to as the Nordics.
Okay, so the reptilians, I guess what most people know as Draco, and the Nordics are basically generals or mid-management for the Anunnaki. Now, this is the Anunnaki from, ancient lore we're talking about here, right? Like Sitchin and stuff? Sumeria?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And then the minions of the Arcturians are the Greys. So they're the ones who created the Greys, and they're the ones controlling them.
So is there not a species of Greys that are just like a regular species? Are they all clone bodies like that?
As far as we've heard that are here on Earth right now interacting with us, then yes, those Greys are artificial intelligence. So I don't know if there's other ones out there. But I also was told that I interacted with some sort of insectoid being and then some sort of humanoid being that lived on Mars. So I don't know if that just means humans that were born on Mars or a very human-like being that lives on Mars. So
you're familiar with the breakaway groups and civilizations that came from here?
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay, so now I got a question for you.
Sure.
Okay, so you familiar at all with Corey Good's testimony?
Of course.
Okay, so these entities he's describing as the pre-Adamites.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that those are the Anunnaki that we're talking about here?
It seems to me that is a little twist of his story as far as misinformation goes. He's calling the Anunnaki pre-Adamites to misdirect us. So as far as I know, yes, the Anunnaki are these giant beings that we have evidence of, these 12-foot beings with double rows of teeth and red hair that we've heard Native American stories about and all that. So, I mean, I don't know for sure, but that would
right.
be
So
my
that's your opinion on it. So like that didn't come out of the channeling session or anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
It did not. But yeah, if you want to talk about Corey, we can.
I mean, if you want to, we don't have to. I mean, there's not really much to talk about there. You know, other than everybody pretty much knows the story at this point, so you either believe in, you know,
Well, you know, it's possible
his
we could
entire
have-
tale, you believe in part of it, or you don't believe in any of it all. It's just, there's no way to know. No one speaking in this community can come forward with, like, a solid piece of physical evidence or anything, so for one person to say, like, you're full of shit, I know all that, to me, sitting on the outside, I'm like, well, you're a dick, man. You know, what makes your story so much better than this person's story? Neither one of y'all got a piece of proof. So, and that's what I think my, what's it called? My main problem with Corey Good is that he presented himself as the authority, like, everything I say goes and nothing else is true. You know what I mean? Like, well, no. Prove it. You know what I mean? Like, so as far as that goes, I personally think that the Blue Avian thing is some kind of disinformation. Whether or not he's being led along, you know, by it too, or is actively part of it, I don't know. I don't know that for certain. That's my gut feeling on it. You know, I'm not gonna try to sit here and talk a bunch of shit about Corey Good or anything, because, you know, I listened to what he said, and a lot of what he says lines up with everybody else, and everybody say, well, yeah, that's true, blah, blah, and then there's the whole controversies with the data mining and all that stuff, so, you know, it kind of is what it is at this point.
I think that, I mean, just throwing this out there, just for consideration, and just to put it out there, I think it would be beneficial for anyone who's interested. I mean, this is what my higher self told me. All right? So I asked, higher self, may you please tell me if Corey Good is telling the truth? And is it positive to follow his information? This is what my higher self said. He is being used as a tool of the darkness, unfortunately. We know he has many, many followers, and he speaks with high authority by virtue of his participation in the same program. Unfortunately, he himself is being controlled to spread the disinformation that his extraterrestrial compatriots are of the friendly variety and are here to help humanity. This is not the case. So we understand this is a very, very difficult and sore subject. Without an anchor, without a signpost, without a path to follow, it creates many complications and potential confusion in trying to recover from things you have experienced personally. We can tell you that it is not in your interest to believe anything coming from him. The reason is, he is being manipulated from first to last. This is the sad state of affairs. In fact, this may become the way in which the travesty unfolds. If humanity accepts the emergence through disclosure of the presumed benevolent extraterrestrials and chooses to ally with them and give them a say in making decisions for the nation and the world, it puts humanity in peril because they plan the annihilation rather than the salvation of humanity. We are being truthful and forthright here because you are coming looking for truth and you are following a divine doing so. And we are answering in kind with divine truth. We understand you may need to digest this, and this will be difficult for you because of your inner programming and prior experience in particular. All who follow him are heavily programmed to do so. This is a slippery slope, and this will draw many into the false path to align with him. We are cautioning you to reserve judgment and to not embrace this with direct participation in action. You can keep it under observation as you desire. If you maintain a hands-off policy, it will serve you in a way that is highest and best, because his followers will not have the blessings they anticipate. It will be a much darker future for them.
That's pretty interesting, man. So, I mean, what do you say to that? I mean, guys out there watching, any comments, questions for Mick? I mean, that's kind of how I feel about it, but, you know, how the fuck am I supposed to know anything about any of this shit? You know what I mean? Maybe I need to hit Carl up.
So, in your experiences, is there anything that you've heard about Earth basically being a prison planet and being, having a history of being the marauding, destroying aliens in the past, and now we're limited to one planet? Has that come up at all?
Close, but no cigar. We are a prison planet. We are being held captive here, but it's not because we've messed up. It's because we are under complete control. Yeah, we're livestock to the ETs. So, as far as I see it, this is just another feeding outpost for them.
Kind of like a farm or whatever. Yeah, Joel Lakey was just on an hour or two ago, and he was saying the same thing. That's pretty much how they see us as is food,
and entertainment.
Farm-raised human.
Yep.
Well, at least I'm tasty.
Yeah.
So
does gators taste like chicken? What? Oh my gosh, they're going crazy in there.
Well, yeah. So what happens? So what happens if? Yeah, which begs the question: what would happen if you were able to eat a Draco? What would happen?
I don't know.
Would you gain its power?
Maybe.
Yeah, it'd be telepathic all of a sudden. All right, so we're getting sidetracked here. Let me bring this back into the alignment here. So let me find a good place to go.
A Draco with some Bacos.
Draco with some Bacos. Draco on a Baco. You got something else on your list there that you want to cover? We got about 6 minutes left.
Okay, let's do it. There's one other little answer I'd like to read from one of my channelings, and I just kind of I think it's good to end this more on a positive note. And I think this could be really just encouraging to all of the other experiencers, veterans, abductees of these programs. It's encouraging. So the fact that I was so inspired by Kevin Trimmel, and we just had this kind of instant connection. I was just drawn to him for some reason, and I was curious if maybe we had served together in the programs. So that's what I asked. I said, "Higher Self, may you please tell me if I have served with Kevin Trimmel in the Mercenary Army program, and if so, in what capacity?" And this is the answer I got. "This has been done. You were compatriots and involved in a number of parallel missions. There's a soul connection there as well, through all of this shared involvement and the higher purpose, which is to bring healing for it. This is what you see playing out now. You have taken on a very difficult and challenging operation, the two of you, in launching into life, knowing you could be called up into service to the darkness without your true consent, then find a way to disengage, and in the process be in an even better position to bring a healing to them as perpetrators. This is the most difficult and harrowing of undertakings because of the risks to the self, not only of having difficult times and even painful experiences, but also the taking on of additional negative karma that will nonetheless require healing by you to restore and rebalance in some way. This is truly a divine sacrifice to take this on, and is very much to the credit of you both. This is and the virtue in what you have done. It is the highest kind of service one can have, to put one's own being at risk in service to others, and to be a force for good in the doing. This makes you both very special and much cherished by the divine realm. You will be heroes among the human community as well. As things proceed and the current forces of darkness are overturned, this will be a tremendous time of joy and celebration for you down the line, because you have come through the fire quite literally, and will gain the most from having made the investment."
That's pretty interesting. Kevin, Kevin's going to be on later tonight. I'll have to bring that up to him.
Yeah, you should.
So now, if I wanted to reach out and contact Carl and arrange a channeling session or something, how would I do that? Would I have to go to Why Is This True, Denny Hunt's site, or does Carl have his own site?
Yeah, Carl has his own website. It's teamarchangel.com.
Okay. So you guys out there,
And
if you're interested at all in that thing, teamarchangel.com. Check that out. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
So if you go to teamarchangel.com, you'll notice that he has a variety of different healing services available, but higher self channeling isn't on there.
Oh, really?
So it's something that you have to arrange with him specifically. So you can contact him through the website, or you can just email him at carlmollison@yahoo.com. And from there, just tell him, I've been inspired by the higher self channelings that you've done, and I'd like to do one as well. And then you'll get an email back from him.
Awesome.
It just goes from there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. We'd like to thank you for coming. Did you have a final question before we get there?
Well, more just like an experience I wanted to share that I'm very lucky to know quite a few really talented healers and other, mystical people who've come in and out of my life. And I was working with a couple of them, and they have this thing they do where they'll unblock your chakras and basically pull negative entities out of you. And I had an experience once where they pulled something out of my crown chakra, and when that happened, it was like I went astral, and I went out of my body, and it wasn't like. It was like a face-to-face meeting with my higher self. It wasn't like it went through anybody else. It was just me, and I was out of my body. It felt like, it kind of like that feeling that you get when you're on an airplane and it starts climbing really steeply. That and being thrown through a plate glass window. It was an interesting experience, but I felt like that happened 3 times, and then I was surrounded by infinite light. And when I, realized where I was on this big slab of purplish stone, right? And there are a yellow sky and these whitish columns with a weird purpley glow to them. And there was a version of myself, but it wasn't me. He looked like one of the tall whites from Prometheus. Like tall and all like muscled out and shit, and like an idealized version of myself. And it told me some very interesting things that helped me heal from some of my traumas. And
that's awesome.
It was a wild experience, and it hasn't happened again since. And so I'm really grateful for the chance to know some people like that who can do that sort of thing. And
Yeah, definitely kind of reminds me of some DMT experiences I've had. But I gotta say, anybody out there doing anything like this, always please ask for protection beforehand. It's key.
Yeah, that's something we kind of brought up when we were talking to you, just as a conversation about. Dan was saying that a lot of the problem with invocation and magicians is that they don't set up the proper wards.
Well, that's when magicians talk about channeling in general. They advise that there are a lot of people that they've seen do channelings that don't use any sort of protection. They don't cast a circle. They don't put up their wards. They don't focus their cone of energy.
Mm-hmm. And then there's always the ever-present synthetic telepathy that could be used on people too.
Like, that's the big criticism of Ouija boards, too, is you never know what you're opening up. But when you use a Ouija board, unless you do wards and banishings and protections and all that, you could be opening it up to anything. You never know what it is.
Yeah. When you put a call out there, someone will answer. And, you have to be lucky for it to be a light being to get there. And without protection, most likely it's going to be a pretty dark entity.
Yeah, like with all the Geishik evocations and all the stuff out of the Key of Solomon and whatnot. Even then, after you do those, the opening summoning rituals, you'll ask the entity in the mirror, "Are you whoever you're calling?" Like, let's say I'm calling Andromalius or Boone. If I call out to the entity and I'm like, "Are you Andromalius?" Identify yourself and answer truly. And, sometimes you'll get something in your mirror that isn't the spirit you called. And then you have to banish it and start over.
Yep.
So, well, we're right up on the edge of it there, so we got to do our giveaway. And then, jump to the break. So, once again, Mick, thanks for coming on. And
yeah, thanks for being part of all this, man.
We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks for doing everything you guys do, man. Keep doing it.
No problem, man. You're very welcome. Okay, so see you later. Let me get this.
All right.
What's going on this one? Right? No, that's not it. I'll have to fix that.
You gotta press the button.
Oh, press the button.
Press buttons
Okay.
faster.
Okay, guys. So it's the end of the hour, so it's time for us to get on with the giveaway. What do we got in the box of goodies today? Right now? Okay, so we got more Keck stickers, and we got Reality Brief stickers, and we've got another Human Services CD. Woo! Yeah, you want it. Social studies, so good.
You definitely do want this album.
If you want to get in on that giveaway, what you do is send us a message on facebook.com/realitybrief. Or at realitybrief@gmail.com, and the first person to do so will win the giveaway. You're going to have that. Send us the message, and we'll be in contact with you probably tomorrow to get your information to send you the prizes. Yeah. Man, we were going to have hot sauce again this year. That's why we're playing the commercial, but I just didn't have time to go over there and get it, man. It was really a bummer, man. So
he's holding out. He's got a fridge full of stuff. No,
fridge full of hot sauce.
I'm kidding.
So if you're into what you're seeing, you can. There's many ways you can support us, like at patreon.com/realitybrief, or
that hot sauce is banging, and you should order some.
It is.
If you Google Taste Fire, it'll come up.
Mm-hmm. We've got the redbubble.com/people/realitybrief, and we've got the realitybrief.bandcamp.com. Any one of those places you could help support us there. So, with that said, we're going to be back next hour with... Who's on next hour? What is it, 5 o'clock?
Yep.
Matt Wyatt. Matt Wyatt is going to be on to start telling us a little bit more about his story. And, finishing off from where we stopped last time. And that'll be that. So, we'll see you guys in a little bit.
Oh hi, Space Jesus again. If you're looking for a little redemption, hop on over to patreon.com/realitybrief or redbubble.com/people/realitybrief and think about giving a little something to that cause. Why donate to the pot and church when you can donate to some pot instead?